Fala galera, it's Marty from the Disciples here. Sorry. It's Marty from the Disciples here. Today we're joined by Gabriel and Alex as usual, and we've got on another special guest today. We've got Paulo with us today. Say hi.
Hello. Fala galera.
Yeah.
Paulo from Brazil. Now that.
Yeah.
So is he
I'm sure you all know Paulo is a very sort of long-standing player in this game. Been playing for a very long time. Picked up very many achievements, both offline and online. So we've got him here today to talk about a couple of things with us. And the topic for today is just sort of the growth and sort of professionalization of Yu-Gi-Oh! As of recent. If we're looking at things like Master Duel coming up, you know, the game's grown a lot over the lockdown, and you know, with a lot of different things happening in Yu-Gi-Oh! With Master Duel, with tournaments, etc., etc. Thought it was something we could talk about today with someone like Paulo as well, who's quite interested in this sort of stuff as well.
I guess it's also a very good link, so you can shout out your stuff, because that's what makes you money. So go for it.
Yeah, would you like to go ahead and do that now?
Yeah. With
Okay,
Twitch.
so I've been streaming on Twitch, especially because in preparation for Master Duel, which is the topic for today, and that matters a lot to me. So I'm already streaming right before the Master Duel release. So the links on the description is PRJ YUGIOH. Then I have my YouTube channel, which is the place where I put all my videos, and for a long time, like almost 10 years now. So now, and I have content in English too. On the stream on Twitch, I stream in English 2 days a week. It is Monday and Wednesday, so I do stream in English as well, not only in Portuguese. And also a coach. I think this is going to be a subject today as well. I'm also a coach on the Duelist Academy, so if anyone is interested and have a coach session with me or anyone else there, just look at the links and you have all the information there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I think we did in the last week or so get a little bit, well, at the time of recording this, we did get a little bit more information on Master Duel and sort of what we've seen from it. And it looks quite like a polished product. What do you guys think of from what we've seen?
It's okay. I mean, gameplay looks good. It's a shame we have no info on monetization, but to be honest, the game's gonna be popular regardless, because Duel Links is popular, that game's a money sink. So I think it looks good. It's nice that you have a somewhat release date, and I think everyone's excited by it. Like everyone that's not doesn't like this game, because it's clearly the next step that should have been taken like ages ago.
I think even the people that aren't really like big online players like myself, like I don't care about like golden books, etc. Like I don't care, but like I'm excited for it, and that shows something. So I think it's a good step in the game. It's one that's been needed for a long time.
Yeah, and you get more people as well, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's all about reach at the end of the day, isn't it? Really, it's getting more people to play the game.
Yeah. I've been waiting for this moment for like many years. I talked to a lot of people about this. I really believe that it's going to be really successful. I don't know how Konami will do things like we can be too hopeful about on how they're going to approach, but I think either way it's going to work somehow. We are going to have words. They already announced that with Master Duel and being streamable thing, especially watchable. Like the problem with the current TCG is really hard to watch, to understand what people to get into the game, because there is no way for you to learn the game by playing. Today is impossible. There's no way, and it is already super difficult. So that's a really difficult entry level to the game, I think.
Yeah.
So I think Master Duel will help on that matter as well. So I think Yu-Gi-Oh! With Master Duel is going to the right direction.
Yeah. Especially, I think the watching experience is like a good point, because like even the Konami live streams, it's so hard to follow. We understand what's happening because we play this game, but if you show it to a random person, they just see like some cards on the playmat. There's like no indication, and DB is also not very visual. So just from what like the quick glances we've seen, you can at least understand like this monster is destroying this monster. There's like an animation. I know it might sound corny for us, But just like that thing to attract people, they're like they can understand what's happening better, the chain animation and stuff. I think it's gonna be like massive.
Yeah, it's like visually, especially for things like, I'm going to bring it back to Duel Links because that's all I've had experience with for the past like 3 months. But even watching Duel Links, like it's quite visual. If you saw like the Duel Links worlds, you can pretty much follow most of what's happening just by watching, even if you don't have like a complete grasp of what's going on. You can see visually what's happening, and I think that's very helpful for like the spectatorship of the game. And I think that's quite important actually moving forward if we're going to push forward with things like Master Duel for like professional gameplay and like pushing into the esports aspect of it, because spectatorship is one of the most important, if not the most important thing about most esports, is being able to watch them as sports. So what are your sort of thoughts on that?
So I think the main thing is actually the backgrounds. I know it sounds weird, but like the backgrounds they have, along with like you've got your like character sprite. You've got all of like the animations that occur, like when you summon a monster, when you attack, all of that. I think those are like the most important aspects of it. Because at the end of the day, without those, it's just DB, right? Like it's just a DB. But that's all of those.
Legend Pro, I guess.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. But like without those aspects, it's kind of just like a game of Yu-Gi-Oh normal. But that like it makes it more interesting to watch, and it gives
I mean,
I don't know, it just makes it more intriguing.
But definitely like sound design and like visual design is super important. I think a lot of people really do like underestimate how important it is. I think a good example, it's unrelated to like just card games in general, but recently with fighting games and stuff. So games like Guilty Gear Strive, they have amazing visual and sound design, whereas a game like All-Star Brawl, like the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl game, people are really excited for it because gameplay-wise, it moves and feels really good gameplay-wise, but the sound design is just not there. There's no voice acting or anything for the characters, and the immersion is just killed immediately on the spot. And the game isn't what most people are anticipating it to be, just because it's missing those really, really key design elements, even though the game works and functions really well compared to other games in the market. You know, that element of being able to watch it and being able to be immersed in it is really, really important. I'm really glad Master Duel's got that.
And I mean, the online card games, they have like a bunch of competition because now they're entering a market that has Hearthstone, MTG Online, Pokemon Online, Runeterra, Gwent, whatever. You name it, right? There's so many options. So they had to make a good product. No one wanted them to reinvent the wheel. We just wanted a way to play official Yu-Gi-Oh! Online, and that would make the game bigger. And to be honest, the game has already been getting bigger. I think like even pre-Master Duel somehow.
Very much pre-Master Duel.
I don't understand how. I don't understand why. But if you look at like attendance numbers, they just keep rising.
I don't get it. I don't get it in the slightest.
What do you think, Paulo?
It's really weird. Like the numbers getting higher and higher, even with really questionable formats sometimes.
Yes, very
questionable.
I even talked that on stream at some point that maybe we find the format questionable because it's worse for us, because it's harder for us as good players to win. But for the big chunk of the player base, it's better because they're winning more, because they're not as good as us. But big
fair.
It's better. So that's maybe why. I don't know. And about the esport aspect, I feel like we will get a big influx of players coming back to the game. I played this game for a long time, and I'm only the few ones that started playing, like, 2005 and kept playing competitive since then, never stopped. I think I don't know, maybe 5 people did that. Like, they're still competitive today. So I've seen many good players leaving the game, either because live things happen or because they change card games. And that happened a lot. Sometimes people translate from Yu-Gi-Oh! To Magic, to Hearthstone, to Runeterra, and then they change those games to poker. They try to follow the money, right? And I think that if the money isn't here, many people would come back. Of course, I know it's unrealistic to believe that we are going to have, at least right from the start, as much money as we have in poker, of course not. So like even comparing to Hearthstone and Magic, I think it's unrealistic to believe that's going to happen right away. But I think maybe we get this unofficial community of tournaments this is something that could happen, and that would make the competitive scene better in the money-wise aspect, and then that make the whole esport more suitable, because esports is pretty much like companies that what's the word? Patrocinar, how is the word?
Sponsored.
Sponsor teams, and in order for that to work, you need to have money involved. Somewhere. We don't have money anywhere right now.
We have playmats and deck boxes.
Oh yeah.
We have this random rising prices of price in the cards, the prize cards, but this is like really recent. So,
Before that,
literally like last like 2 years, they've gone up so much compared.
And
to
this is
before,
also and this is also random. Like it's not something that you can count off. Like I won some things in the past, and I don't have them anymore. But they worth like 10 times more. There's no way you can hold that long if you need the money to keep playing. So it is difficult.
They're not like money. They're like they're worth as much as someone's willing to pay for a prize card. They can be worth 10 grand, but if no one like will pay 10 grand for it, like what's the point? But I think like Hearthstone, for example, Hearthstone, they had like the Blizzard Road circuit, but they had a lot of like unofficial tournaments by other companies. And that's how it started like building up back in 2015, 2016. So I think we already have like a good base, and Yu-Gi-Oh is a game because of the whole anime and the whole reach it has that attracts a lot of people. So I could see us like going a similar path. Like imagine like a DreamHack Yu-Gi-Oh one day, like like a proper like LAN for Master Duel. That's how Hearthstone started.
I kind of think it's gonna go in a similar way Duel Links did with
DLM and stuff.
I don't know if it's gonna be DLM is gonna be the forefront of it. I know it's gonna be a part, but I don't know if that's like if he's gonna be the one that like makes it as big as it is, like for Duel Links. Like he is Duel Links, right? I don't think Konami is Duel Links. I think Duel Links Meta is Duel Links.
There was like a Konami stream. There was like a Konami stream that he was streaming it as well, and he got more viewers than Konami.
I believe that. Like, but
the kids.
I feel like we're gonna get to a point where, because Konami's never gonna give us cash prizes for this. Like,
it's still gonna be very much grassroots.
Like
community
you get
for
stuff
things
like
the
game, you get stuff like you get actual products. But like, I think. As I said, like I feel like DLM is, or like an equivalent of DLM, by another company, whatever. That's where it's going to end up. That's probably for the best as well, I think, because I don't see a lot of like, I guess like esports related, either like players like coming from like Hearthstone, those types of games. They won't come over just to play a Konami event for boxes or like card. Like if it's like 10 grand instead, sure, that's different, isn't it?
I do want to say is that the recent, because as we've said, it's going to be very much sort of fundamentally grassroots based. But a lot of grassroots games have been like growing significantly over lockdown. Things like Smash, entirely grassroots based, not supported by Nintendo, for example, but are still pulling in like insane prize pools just because there's a community and there's sponsors like BTS, Beyond the Summit, for example, just creating these massive prize pools for invitational type tournaments and stuff. I think there's potential for things like that with, a bunch of organizations as well picking up players. I think Lazarus recently picked up Distant Coder as well. Most likely in anticipation for Master Duel and content creation on that side. And, with Moist Esports and Moist Critical expressing a lot of interest in hosting Master Duel tournaments, I think there is potential for there to be, a growth in that element and growth of the grassroots scene for Master Duel. I just wanted to sort of derate what you guys thought about that sort of stuff. Where do you think it's going in terms of sponsorships and organizations?
I think it's all about the viewership. Like if they can put the viewership in, it will bring sponsors. Especially because like there's so many things that like can sell to this public specific. Like the same way things that usually sponsor other card games, and especially Yu-Gi-Oh that has a physical aspect to it. Like Konami gains value each day Master Duel gets bigger just because they will sell more physical cards at the same time because more people will pick up the physical game. No other because the Pokemon one is not really comparable because the Pokemon one is not like a game by itself. It's kind of an extension of the physical card game. But like Magic Arena is similar. every time Magic Arena gets bigger, Wizards gets more money because more people are picking up physical. So I think they have an incentive to make it big, and community things like isn't like the DLM, like the Duel Links things, prize pool, a lot of it community funded, like from the stream. Like look at it, like last the Meta Week, not the MCS was like 4,000 in pricing, 3,000 in pricing, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Imagine like a Master
I don't think it
Duel.
was that much. I think he got like
It was
an extra like 300 or 400 in the prize pool from donation.
Oh no, from donation, but like the prize pool overall.
the prize pool, yeah.
The overall prize pool was something like 1,700.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought it was more than that, yeah.
Yeah, but still, a Master Duel one would be like massive if he just made it. Imagine. So I think especially at the start we'll see a lot of things. If it's gonna have a long-term effect, we can't really tell. But I mean, it's an exciting future. It's better than what we had a year ago.
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
Like going off with like the distant moist esports, all of that stuff. Oh my god. There's like what's his name? Carl Jacobs.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Carl Jacobs did that thing with Pac. It was Pac, right? A few weeks ago.
That's one.
Like even seeing stuff like that, that's already like a good indication that there's like that bridge between Yu-Gi-Oh and like the larger populace of like Twitch esports. That's like that type of thing.
Like mainstream, because like Yu-Gi-Oh has been a thing like segregated to our own corner of like nerds in a room for like its whole life. So I guess the possibility of having bigger things related to Twitch and related to esports is exciting. But I guess like Paulo.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really big. To be honest, I really believe this is going to, at least at first, reach the mainstream media. Maybe I think this is going to be announced on like big video game platforms when it's going to be released, and then it will have big numbers. And I think like other streams, other card games will stream Yu-Gi-Oh because it's really unlikely that someone that plays Hearthstone or Runeterra or something like those new card games nowadays never play Yu-Gi-Oh in the past. Many of those play Yu-Gi-Oh in the past and they change to those games. And when you have this new game, for example, I don't know how much you follow Hearthstone. I follow a little bit, but there's big Hearthstone content creators like Tramp and Tides and I'm sure I'm going to stream Master Duel when it's going to be released. And
It'll be the new thing.
Yeah.
Most of them were.
Maybe they stop. Like maybe they stop, but they reach like those 4, 5, 6,000 viewers that they have. So and I think other people will do that as well. So and I think it will be Konami's responsibility and also a little bit of the community responsibility to capitalize in this big increase of viewership in Yu-Gi-Oh that we have for like 1 month. And then it's going to decrease. This is obvious, but this big, and that's why I'm streaming, right? Because I want to be there when this happens, and I don't know which opportunities will arrive of this. I don't know. Maybe let's say there is a tournament, someone does a big tournament right away, first month of Master Duel, and I'm playing well because I'm playing a lot and all that, and then I do well in this tournament. And maybe some opportunity arrives of that. So I don't know, or because a new game, people want to see a stream, and then I think everyone's viewership in Twitch will like increase for everyone. So there's a lot of opportunities that can come of this, and that's why I'm preparing. So
the trickle down economics of like big streamers, and then you stick with it, and then you get that, and then doing well in tournaments. I want to see moist PRJ. Let's go.
Hopefully Konami does like things such as like they did like an invitational with like famous names for remote duels. If they could do like one with streamers for Master Duel, like if they also need to support their game, the community would do a lot because the community has been doing it for 15 years because Konami doesn't do anything. But now that they have like a product, if they push it, I really believe because like Hearthstone has a bit of a decline. I think Yu-Gi-Oh is more it has an easier appeal to people than Magic has, for example, because Yu-Gi-Oh has the whole anime. It attracts a lot of people. Even if it is this mess of a game, we know it has a lot of appeal. Like it's more likely if you talk to someone in the street, they'll know Yu-Gi-Oh than they'll know Magic, for example.
100%.
So
and there's all the Duel Links things, right? Like there's a lot of people who play Duel Links, and many people that play Duel Link are players that play like from the anime, and then they never play the physical game, or they play like in the beginning and they never get into the game. But now, and then there's Duel Links. They start playing Marines like casually. And now they have this another game. I'm sure they will announce they must do release on Duel Links, of course. And maybe they do something alongside those games. Not something about the cards themselves, but like, I don't know, something. And then they try to make people cross that bridge, at least slowly, because there's more money to milk that too. So if Konami could translate at least, I don't know, 10, 20% of the players from Duel Links to Master Duel, it's going to be real huge, because we already have the TCG community, which I don't know if it's bigger or smaller than Duel Links, but it's already really big, and everyone who plays TCG will play Master Duel. This is obvious. Like, it's impossible, almost really unlikely that someone that plays TCG doesn't play Master Duel. And then if they bring some part of the Duel Links community, exclusive Duel Links players, and then returning players, and the old players, like they can reach a lot of bases to make the game bigger. That's why I believe this is going to be big.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. Especially because like Amadi knows better than me, but like most people that I see play Duel Links, they are like old
to a lot of Duel Links players. They're more than happy to sort of make a jump over to Master Duel. A lot of them are really excited for Master Duel and to try it out and stuff, because it's very sort of native to them. So like the overlays and like the mechanic of just playing online, it sort of fits them. It sort of fits the bill for them, because they're not really in tune with playing like the physical game or playing on Dueling Book, but they're more than happy to give Master Duel a shot, and maybe even just like start playing Master Duel more than Duel Links.
They're
quite excited for it. I think the reception's mostly positive.
That's nice. I mean, I think Master Duel has an appeal because like we live in London, so it's a city that has a lot of opportunities for Yu-Gi-Oh! Rio is also a big city in Brazil. You have like big locals, but if you live like in like the very deep ends of Brazil, you live in Oman, you live in
Wales,
Cornwall, whatever, right? Like
half our team.
not everyone
in the middle of buttfuck nowhere.
Exactly. You don't get the same opportunity. So like the appeal of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is when you're playing like good people. But not everyone has the same experience with the physical card game. But when you breach the online, you get a lot of talent. As I had discussed this previously, like a bunch of people who like started doing well online because like they couldn't play before. They didn't have a testing circle. They didn't have places to play. I don't know. I always just go back to Hash because it's like an easy example because he's from literally end of the world.
Literally nowhere,
But
this might be a bit of a worse example, just because in TCG we have the obvious Asia and Europe, OCG TCG split, but we don't have it in Duel Links. But in Duel Links specifically, like a lot of the Asian players, they play in our tournaments, like in the EU or the US tournaments as well, because they don't really have like big Japanese tournaments to the same scale as like they don't have like MCSs and stuff, but they play in our tournaments, and obviously like they don't have the blandness is global in that game. But like with OCG TCG, again, it's the same thing. In the OCG, a lot of their tournaments are sort of very local and very sort of card shop based, rather than going all the way sort of out of their way to play in like Konami sanctioned events. I think we've sort of heard. We'll talk about that 2 weeks time. Another day. I think in Asia, again, most people don't really go out of their way to play like in sanctioned events, whereas with Master Duel, again, it gives them the opportunity to play in a sort of sanctioned setting with ranked players, etc., etc. So I think it's, again, not just helpful for us in our opportunities here in the TCG, but again, in the OCG as well. It might contribute to a lot of growth over there as well, which is probably more important to Konami as a Japanese company than it is for them.
Haven't we seen that like on the Duel Links like revenue chart that like Duel Links makes like insane money in Asia? It makes like more money in Asia than Hearthstone makes worldwide. It's bizarre.
It's Book of Moon's fault. It's all Book of Moon's fault.
It's Book of Moon. No, but I do think they will at some point end the DCG and OCG ban list difference. I don't know how good that is for the health of the game. But I like if you think about it, like Master Duel is a global game. It's they lose opportunities by making them shoot separate games. I don't think that's good because the OCG balance is god awful. But
it depends which one they take. Will they get rid of the OCG balance?
We're not winning that.
We're not winning. If that was ever happening, they would definitely just take the OCG list, which that list is awful. But like from a game design standpoint, because then they can like. They have like a big world with everyone playing under the same list, every big tournament. Like, because then they can get viewership from OCG people in TCG tournaments, viewership on TCG people from OCG tournaments. So I think that's happening at some point. It's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is.
Be ready to play with a lot of chew-offs.
Yeah.
Be ready to play against Max C again.
It will be separate at first. Like
at first it is.
Servers like Hearthstone. And completely different card pools between servers. So if you want to play OCG, you have this own account, but you choose between servers. I think it will be similar to Hearthstone. It has to be something. The one thing that will happen of Marcedu, I think the rules will be the same.
Yeah, they need to integrate them, right? Like otherwise, how they have two different rulings?
Right? Because I think our revised rulings are basically OCG rulings.
We have some differences on triggers.
Isn't it if you like? I can't remember how it works with like multi-faker in hand, but I know there's a way you can make multi-faker not trigger an OCG.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like hand triggers. Don't go straight on the. You can't chain block. You can't go like summon summon connector.
I can't remember.
It's connector butterfly. If you go connector, your opponent can like connector, and then you go butter spy, and then you can do that. But you can't do that here.
But to be honest, we're closer now. At least we're like the same game almost everywhere now. Yeah. Because we had like the last couple years with NA rulings, EU rulings. No one really knows which rule we're playing under. Call the NAB resolves in 3 different ways depending on who you ask.
But like again with the integration of the game is like one whole game. It'll help sort of boost like growth, but. I think even before we started talking about like Master Duel and stuff, like the game was growing before Master Duel, before lockdown even. We had like randomly huge events like Dusseldorf reach like 3K players.
Yeah,
back in 2019. How did that happen? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, we kind of went over to the fact that I don't really know. I'll be honest, I have no way to describe why. The formats have been awful and progressively getting worse. Maybe it's what Paulo brought up, that worst players are be able to win and they like it.
I think it's easier now because of where content is and like content creation is for Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's easier to get better. I don't think it's easier to get like. I don't think it's easier to go from like good to like insane, but I feel like it's easier to go from
bad to good,
unplayable to good. Like I feel like that jump is a lot easier. So like I go to like locals, I see a guy I went to school with, and he's just randomly playing Adamantipator. Like examples like that. It's just like social media, all of that stuff. I think it's just.
Yeah.
I also think Konami did improve their marketing. It's still awful. Don't get me wrong, but like they did way more live streams this last year than they did in like the 10 years before.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think.
Sorry. Dusseldorf was a really good. I was there. I played Dusseldorf, and I managed to play the first one.
Lovely.
The main one. Yeah, I managed to play the main one.
Actual Dusseldorf.
Like the main one because I went really bad with that one.
Is that one? No.
Yeah, it was the Thunder one. Yeah.
The Thunder one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the format was good, and that helped. And also, we just got a new chip deck. Was Solomon Great. It was the first event of Solomon Great, so there was a lot of Solomon Greats that event, so that also helped.
Not for me.
It was a lot of things. Also, Europe doesn't have as many events as other places.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that makes the player base play more, maybe.
Yeah, every YCS is massive because there's only 4 a year, so like you kind of have to go.
Yeah,
I think that will eventually change. Maybe not. Maybe the Master Duel will keep like that, but you have more events to play. Because one of the bad things that you have, especially when you can't travel, which was almost my entire life, I just started traveling like 2018 forward.
You did a lot of traveling in 2019, yeah.
Yeah. So 2017 forward is when I started playing like almost every month, and but before that, the issue was that. If you have only one event, that event counts a lot. It's not like you have another one to play. Okay, I just like the Thunder one, Dusseldorf. I play Dusseldorf, but 3 weeks later I play YCS Atlanta, and the week after I play another event, and the week after another event, and the month after another event. So there was a lot of events that I played, and of course this is not the player base. This is only like
Yeah.
top 111, like 0.0001% of the players that can do something similar to this. And I think with the Master Duel, you have more opportunities to play, and it is what's the word? It is more worth more for you to invest time in the game because you have more opportunities to show that work. That's what I mean.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Yeah. So because when you have like one event and then let's say you have one YCS and then nothing else that big for like 3-4 months, right? Which is the experience for most European players and for South America.
South America, anywhere but NA, to be honest.
Yeah. So
you're not as invested in the sort of interim period. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yeah. So you only have one opportunity to use whatever you're testing for, right? And then after that is a completely different meta game, something. So when you have more things to play, let's say with Master Duel, you have one event, and then you have like you want to play a tournament every day, every 2 days, you kind of can. So so it is worth to spend more time and money, of course, to improve because there's more opportunities to play, and that's why I think. In some places, especially places where you have a lot of stores, like let's say like LA, I think this is the place in UA that you have in USA that you have more stores per like state, right? There's a lot of good players there, but why? They are smarter than the other places in the world. No, it is worth to spend time and money because there's more opportunities for you to play and invest. And I think with Master Duel, more people will be interested in do something like that, and that goes together with the whole coaching thing. Where I think with Master Duel, more people will be willing to pay for coaching because that payment for coaching or for cards in Master Duel or buying the physical card, it will have a longer work. I don't know if that's
it's worth more more mileage.
Because instead of getting coaching for like one event, that's coaching that will apply for 5 or 6 events during the week that you want to. If you want to spam tournaments, you can absolutely just spam tournaments, weeklies, whatever.
No, and I think that even like right now, even like with the current online circuit we had for like the last year, this kind of already happened. People usually used to practice for events. Now people kind of keep up to date. Because even if it's not the same thing as Master Duel, but it's still like people are playing like money matches, Ironmans, and then there's like an LCS every month, and there's like different online tournaments, there's remote duels. So you could see, because I feel like the player base level got a lot higher in this last year. Like there's more competent players than ever, I feel, because a lot of our people are constantly playing Yu-Gi-Oh! We lost a lot of players who like didn't play online at all. But I think like even if you lost like some like very top good players, I feel like the average level kind of got raised, and it's only gonna get better with Master Duel.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very good for coaching and for other things as well.
Yeah. I also think that kind of applies to IRL as well. Like I know it's again like just going back to my earlier point of just like how accessible the information is now. Like. If I when I went to my first locals, like this time last year, after like 6-9 months, whatever it was, of like not playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I went and I was like, oh my god, I'm so trash. And these people are like,
they're grinding.
And I was like, oh my god, how do I play against this like guy playing Infernoble, ripping my hands? Like, what do I do? I don't know. It just felt like. It's been gradually getting like this, like over the last like I don't know how many years, maybe like 3 years, 2-3 years.
I think so. When like big content,
better and better. Like
there's a lot of content creators and stuff. The other day I lost like a 12-year-old at locals. The kid's like a DP grinder. This is when you realize like you're old.
I remember this.
Yeah, like it's like when you reach your washed up.
Did he ever show up again?
Yeah, he shows locals every week.
Okay. Oh, does he? Okay, that's
nice kid.
No, because I remember this. He just like he was just playing salad. And he just, like, you went Dark Ruler on your dragon board and just like vibed and did his salad stuff.
Exactly. Now, but like it's like nowadays, like this people, so many people like just come out of nowhere. Because back in the day, the knowledge came from the same circles. So the good players kind of just like congregated together.
Yep.
And then they like become like this myriad of knowledge. Nowadays, a good list is on DB. and you can like as a random, you can go watch top 1 DB. You have like infinite knowledge available.
Yeah.
So I really hope Master Duel has like good ways for people to spectate in game as well, and like to do that sort of thing. Not like YUGIOH, like, that's a whole other discussion. But that's a whole
information dissemination, right? Because I think in Duel Links, with the Duel Links meta website, it just like automatically uploads like top-in deck lists and stuff. And he keeps pushing the website as like legal cheating, where you can see people's top-in deck lists and like just sorting by like popular cards and stuff. I think something like that would be very helpful as well, just based on like tournament data. Like again, just making information accessible has led to like the boost of like a lot of competitive players, and just like the population of competitive players has certainly grown over the period of time.
I feel like the time that you've been playing, like the closest to the present we've gotten to, the harder I feel my average tournament is. Like, I remember playing, God, it was like my first Brazilian Nationals, I don't know, 2014? And I remember, like, I was young, I wasn't good, but I remember, like, the level, or at least what my remembrance, is that the level was, like, a lot lower on average than it became, than, like, the last time I played. I felt I played, like, better people on average. And I think it just keeps growing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, what year is it now? 2021.
It's years now.
In 2016, I think it was. I topped regional with Raid Raptors.
Nowadays you probably can't do that. Yeah.
I won't do that anymore.
No, I probably won't even go X2. Like,
to be honest, in the UK you probably can.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not.
No. The problem with the UK is the Altergeist agenda.
There's too many Altergeist.
That's different topic.
If you go too far north, you're gonna get Altergeist.
Yeah. No, but it's like
what do you think, Paulo? You've been in the game for a while. So you'd have a better idea of like the player standard since 2005 even.
So I think the average player level is much higher right now than it was before. The really good players, they are still really good. Not the same people, but like they're as good maybe as the people from the past. But the average, like it's hard. I think it's harder to top an event now than it was like maybe 5-6 years ago. The information is really spread right now. It's really easy to get information. Of course, some people will use this information better than the others. Like not everyone know where to look on Yu-Gi-Oh! Scope, who to look and how do things. And people don't even look at the information is there, but people don't use it. It's not everyone. Like we are talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Scope, but I bet that 90% of the player base don't even know what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is something that, yes, if you try to be more competitive, this is something that you can use that didn't exist before. And for example, YouTube, Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube, right? This started really started, right? 2013, 12.
Yeah.
But then we have like almost 7-8 years before that nothing happened. So the only information that we had was from forums, and then we look at forums and all that. So it was. And for example, I used to play competitive since 2005. So when I wanted to look at information, there was no YouTube. I think YouTube didn't even exist in 2005. So I needed to look into forums, but there wasn't many forums to look at. So I look at German forums, but I don't know how to speak German. So I Google Translate the list and try to figure out which card was. So this is a lot of
effort
work to get information. Yeah, there's a lot of effort to do things. Now you can see like top 10 players, deck lists, and all that. It's super easy. And I usually joke with my students because I think many people obsess with deck lists, completely obsessed with deck lists, and they forgot that it's super easy to have a good deck list now. It's really difficult to miss by much. If you want to play Tribegate, you just see the guy just won the event with like a PPG Orange with Tribegate. The deck's good. You can change one card here and there, but like the deck's good. If you want to play Altergeist, there was the guy that won UK or something. Every time someone wins UK, Altergeist.
It's always a wild card with Altergeist. It's always something.
So if you want to see Altergeist, it's really difficult for you to miss completely. Of course, some people will change for your meta game, some tag card here and there, and then you have to do a meta call. And this is a completely different discussion. But like the whole base of the deck, the ratio of your engine and things like that is really easy to get right because so many people put in work and put their work online. I do that. I put my work online many times. So, and other people do that as well. So it's really easy. The difficult part, and I think some people think this is not as important as it is the technical play part. And this is really difficult to pass through videos online. And this is what I think coaching came through. That's why the big thing about coaching and all that, at least the way that I approach that, is more about the technical play part, like watching replays and analyzing decisions and think about situations and try to squeeze every single point, a percentage that you can do through technical play, because this is, I think, where I can impact the other people more than just, okay, use this deck list that can be obsolete in a week depending on how the meta game develops. So the average player is higher in a deck build level, but not necessarily in a technical play level. Maybe in the technical play level, it's worse, but it got compensated by the power level of the cards. But if you bring these people that are playing right now and doing better than they were before, and put those people to play like Zoo format, not that long ago, like 2017, right? They would have good deck lists as well, just like before, just like right now. But the technical part was more relevant. To put those people to play Sky Striker Mirrors, for example, is that are definitely skill intensive. So maybe the average, the difficulty average is higher, but not necessarily because there is a lot of ways for you to evaluate how good or bad the people are. Like it depends. So I think it's something like that. I don't know. This is just me guessing, but
No.
I think me and you, Gabriel, we've had like first-hand experience going back and playing Zoom and stuff recently. It's just been funny seeing like how people approach Zoom.
It is. Now, a friend of us built like Chuzu deck, so we have been playing like on the pub on Sunday. It's bizarre to think this is the same deck, the same Yu-Gi-Oh that we play nowadays. When
it's completely different.
Because to be honest, you cannot be a very good technical player, and if you're playing Tritron and you win enough die rolls, you can resolve Alpha Zeta your way to top cut.
It cool.
You might have like fucked up a lot of the time, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just like scramble. Like you consistently wise, like some percentage will change, and of course it helps to be better at technical play. But I think like it matters less this format with some decks. Although I would say, like, last format, if you ignore the combo decks, I think it was a pretty technical play format. Like, it was pretty skill intensive. Even some of the combo decks. But not to the same extent as some formats we had.
Yeah, for sure. This is not the best time that we have in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying.
What?
I'm saying that, I mean, Triton and all those decks are really... you can make a combo that, yes, you went on one last negation, and you have like...
9.
So,
you slip up one part of the combo, you end with 4 negates.
Nah, it's fine because Eva's at 1 now, so Yu-Gi-Oh solved. They solved right. But I guess we can go over a bit of coaching because I think it's a pretty interesting subject because people come to it trying to approach it on different ways. In the sense, like people expect one thing and not necessarily that's like what they're getting wrong at. I agree that everyone's like obsessed with deck lists nowadays. They see like you're playing like one card different and like this one Noctovision instead of this one Absol is what's gonna change you from bang average to top tier. When at the end of the day it's just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It's hard to pass as well. Because I think you only learn by doing it. You only learn by experiencing, by getting it wrong, watching it back. So I don't know. Paulo knows this because he's the one that actually does this thing. How is like what's like the most common things you think like people get it wrong, like in the sense of what's like the most common mistakes people do in technical play or like analyzing their technical play? Because now you got like different levels of players as well. Some people are like almost toppy, some people are toppy, some people are like starting again.
Yeah, I have all types of players that are returning to the game and players that are actively playing the game that want to be better, players that are starting the game. So it really depends where the player is. Usually in the first session that I do with people, I ask the history about how they play Yu-Gi-Oh, how long, which decks, which events they topped or played, whatever. So I want to know more or less where they are, like in experience. thing that people do a lot wrong is side deck, like side it in and side it out. They usually, I mean, I'm talking here about like what I call X3 players. I mean, it's someone that play regionals, they go X3 and they go X2 and they go X4 and they go X3. Like they know what to do, they know the basic Yu-Gi-Oh thing, they want to be competitive, they're not there yet. This is the type of player that I get the most. The people that first knows me, like so because I'm not like a casual content creator, right? Like my content is kind of specific. So in order for them to reach me, they even need to be interested in that. So usually this is the most players. So side deck is something that people get wrong a lot. They know which cards to side in, but they don't know which cards to side out. This happens a lot. And they touch engine all the time. Like they say, they play 3 desires. They always side out 1 desire. Or they don't know what to do. They only side last. They don't know when to change consistency in second for more hand traps, depending on the urgency of the matchup. There's a lot of things like that people get wrong, in my opinion, all the time. Another thing is meta call. They know it exists, but they don't know how to do it. For example, I do a lot of event preparation. Like there is this event that I want to play, and then my student wants to play, and then we start. Okay, you know the meta call for this event. If you don't know, you need to know somehow. Research, do your job. Like for example, if I was playing regionals in Rio, I look at all the pairings the standings from the last regional. I see the names and see who is there and see which decks they play and do more or less. I know it's not a perfect science, but you need to know more or less where the field is. Not the complete field, but the people. I mean, if you have like a 200 regional, the top 8 of the regional will be like from a group of like 20 players, 30 players, no more than that. So you don't need to do the complete breakdown of the tournament. You need to see what those 30 players are playing. Not all of them, but you have like a good grasp of what's happening there. So this is another thing that people don't notice. They usually look at the breakdowns of tournaments and say, Solomon Grace is really popular, but it's not something that matters if you have the intention to do well. Another thing that they do wrong is, and this is a little harsh, but they evaluate themselves better than they are. And this happens a lot. And this is difficult to do because they believe that they did the right play, and they go like, okay, this is the replay. I think I did anything wrong. And then there was a bunch of things that he could do differently, right?
Yeah.
So because people tend to evaluate themselves that they are better than they are, it's really difficult for you to question every single thing that you do, because that's tiring. And it's kind of how you improve. You need to second guess yourself in a healthy way, but you need to do that. Like you need to second guess, but not completely be paranoid and think everything you're doing is wrong. But you need to second guess at some level, so you don't be too what's the word? Like
overconfident.
Overconfident. That's what I wanted. Overconfident in a way that you think everything you're doing is right. This happens a lot with players that, for example, they're trying to do well when they finally top of YCS and they think they're the shit, right? Like they think they're the best player ever. Everything they do is perfect. So sometimes I find so there's a lot of things, because it's not only the Yu-Gi-Oh part that matters, like the whole mental thing happens a lot. And I try to help with that if it's necessary. And again, this depends on the level of the player and where they are. For example, today I will have a coaching session in my live stream. This is the first time that I will be doing that, so people will see. It's going to be in Portuguese, but like with one of my students that's going to play the Invitational from South America, João. He's going to play in the Invitational. I think you know.
I know him, yeah.
So I will be streaming his coaching session so people know how it works and all that. And he's the type of player that's already more experienced. So the coaching session is in a way, but if you're less experienced, it's going to be another way. And this is an event preparation. So this is another way to approach the coaching session. So it really depends. And I always ask that, what they want. What's the idea here? Or do you want to prepare for an event? You want to get better overall? You want to prepare for Master Duel? You want to be better in this deck? There's a lot of ways to do that. So I've been doing this for a long time. So I'm learning as I go, because I think I was one of the first ones to do that, because I started before the List Academy. doing only in Brazil, and then I branched to Osaka to doing international players. But
I remember your post like in like Shadow Helms like ages ago, and it was like coaching was like not even a thing, and I remember like, everyone just commenting like, "Oh my god, who would pay to learn Yu-Gi-Oh?" And like nowadays it's like a common thing. So I'm not.
When I did that, I always wanted to do that, and I knew some people would be willing to do. But at first, I would have thought, okay, people will think like, okay, this guy's a mercenary or shit like that, right? Because they want to get paid to teach you. Who is going to pay for that? And yes, I got a lot of comments like that. But there are people who are willing. As time went through, like many people started doing that, and now this is a common thing. I don't think there's still people, because this happens in other games as well, right?
Yeah.
Many other games. So I don't know why it couldn't happen here. So I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm learning as I go, right? I'm not a teacher. I kind of am now, but like I wasn't a teacher, like. So I learned how to teach, and that's difficult because some people are knowledgeable in the game, but in order for you to pass the knowledge to the person is a different thing, because you need to understand the way that other people learn. It's really weird, but I'm getting better down now in that subject now, because I'm doing this all the time, and I don't know how many different students I have. From all those years, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice. I also think like one of the points you touched before, Yu-Gi-Oh is a very hard game. It's a very easy game to blame like your losses on anything, because there's so much going on. Like, oh, he drew this, he drew X, and a lot of the games you win, you usually fuck up a lot when you win, and you don't even touch on it. So I think it's a very easy game for people to always blame luck, blame external factors. When, to be honest, if it was all up to luck and external factors, not the same people would be consistently doing well then.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
I always say to people that like Yu-Gi-Oh, like as a game, is one of the most punishing games to play, just because any slight mistake can cost you an entire game, like 3 or 4 turns down the line. Even the slightest mistakes, or even the slightest like deck building error or side decking error, like small mistakes always cost you. I say it's always one of the most punishing things.
And they're not easy to notice. I think that's the main thing.
Exactly.
Right? Like, especially if you're doing it by yourself, or you're like, I don't know, you do it with your friend group, like you're the best person in your friend group. Who's gonna tell you you're wrong? Like, who's a judge? If you're your own judge, fuck off, Alex. And you're the judge, you're like on the top of the world, and you're the one judging your own work. And you don't have a reference, so you keep doing it, and sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't, and you're like, oh, that's luck. So that's like the main thing, like I really like about like coaching in Yu-Gi-Oh, because it allows people to find mistakes they can't see, because it's not their fault. It's just because you can't improve without someone better than you. You always learn from someone, some source. Knowledge doesn't get generated.
I'm always grateful of having like Gabriel around me, because he's always there to tell me like I fucked up this way, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I did.
I love
that. Only that way.
There's multiple.
I'm that way.
And it's really easy to blame luck sometimes. Sometimes what I see sometimes is like people actually they got unlucky in some situation. Yes, something happened that was really unlucky, but they don't account what they could have done to prevent the possibility to get unlucky. And that happens a lot. Like they did something wrong like 2-3 turns ago. I mean, when that happens, Yu-Gi-Oh now. But like when you have 3 turns.
What is that thing?
When we have 3 turns, something happened. Like you searched the wrong card, and there is no ball in a chain of events that became until the top deck engage. Like engage. Oh, I got so lucky. Yeah, but you could have won 2 turns ago because of X and Y.
Yeah.
So this and they usually people get too attached to that I got unlucky feeling, and they don't see past that. And sometimes it's difficult. I said one day at stream that it's hard for people to know what they don't know, right? Just like Gabe was saying. And it is possible to get better by yourself. It's never by yourself, because you need to surround yourself with other like-minded people. In the end, everyone does that. You guys are doing that. I did that. I still do. So this is still a thing that you need to do. Coaching alone is not going to get you like from here to there. It is not going to be like that. It's another way, especially to speed up the process. I feel like you're going to make less mistakes, or you're going, because you can make one mistake and lose, one mistake and lose, the same mistake, and lose. And then the first time you realize, if you do the coach session, and the first time I will tell you that, so you probably will be able to figure out at some point, because this is how we learn things usually, right? But by doing the code sessions, you do that quicker. Not only that, this is only one example, but this is something that coaching sessions can do, because people say, okay, you can't do that by yourself. You did, like I did, right? I mean, not by yourself, I had other people, but like, yes, I did, and no one coached me, right? So yes, but I've been playing this game for uninterrupted 15 years. So that's a lot of time. And I'm doing this seriously for this whole time.
Not everyone has that time, or that, like the span of time. You won't stay in the game losing for like 10 years and then become decent. You're not gonna commit that much into a hobby. So it's a
and that's fine. No one needs to do that. I think so. Yeah, that's one of the benefits, I think, of coaching session, because it speeds up, and not only that,
it's
like,
time
for example,
cost effective.
For example, for the Brazilian students, I have this. I don't know if you guys use WhatsApp, but we have WhatsApp groups where they talk to each other. One thing that I noticed that many of my students have, if they want to get better and they don't have anyone to talk to get better, especially players like we are talking before about Masadu. They live like in cities that don't have many locals or don't have locals at all, but they like Yu-Gi-Oh! They play online only. So I did this because I noticed there was a trend between my students that they reach me not only because they want to get better, because they want someone to talk to about Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they have friends who play, but no one was as competitive as they were. So what I did was I make this group with my students, and now they talk to each other, right? So not only me. So when they have the sessions with me, of course, but they talk to each other and they pass between them. And then everyone is trying to grow together. And this is pretty much what the Alicia Academy is doing with the whole Discord channel. Is the same. There's a lot of friendships that came from the Duelist Academy Discord server, and this community thing, not only the session thing, is something that the coaching sessions also give to the players, and that's really important because you need other people. That is impossible to get better without other people. Impossible. You can be really smart, but it's really difficult to get better alone. So that's another benefit that you have.
I mean, and just for the show, you need two people to play. You need two people to like test, to judge, to because otherwise, if you are always relying on your own things, there's a lot of times like you make a list in your head. It's like, this is insane. You show it to someone, they're like,
this is completely
like get a grip. Like, what are you doing? You need like peer review. So I think it's very nice, like the community aspect. I didn't know you did that in Brazil, but it's super nice. People definitely need, especially that where locals are pretty small. Like we have like huge locals in London, but like most Brazilian locals are gonna be like 8 people, 10 people. You have like one competitive player, and it's an area that really needs this kind of things, because I think like we had a massive influx of like more competitive Brazilian players in the last last year or 2 years. It's very nice to see, and it wouldn't be the same without everyone working on that.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's also useful, like you were talking about sort of the WhatsApp group and all these players of like similar level. I think it's quite helpful for growth to have, you know, similar mindsets, similar level players sort of interacting with each other, and like especially when they play, or like if say you have a student and they're only playing with sort of themselves or with their teachers or whatever, or with top players, you know, it doesn't really help so much in that regard. Whereas if they're playing with people at their sort of level and like testing and like growing, they can sort of litmus test themselves and track their progress in a way as well. So I think that's sort of another good sort of key.
And also, if the only way you're realizing mistakes is by someone talking them to you, you will always be relying on the coach or whoever's coaching you. But when you need to be able to spot your own mistakes. It's not a it's not a continuous thing. Like you realize grew when you notice the wrong things you're doing.
Yeah,
The whole thing is meant to be a stepping stone, not like it's meant to carry you through the tournament. It's not like you don't want to have to come and pay for a coaching class before every tournament. Say, hey, review my list, make a siding plan, and play like this. Like that's not how it works.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah. Right.
The way that I approach, the way that I approach is like I try to make the player better. That's why I focus so much on technical play. That's probably content. It's kind of
it's not a good business model.
It's not the best business model, but I think it's the fairest one, right?
Yeah.
This is what I wanted. If it was the one getting that, and it just changes so much that I think if the person wants to keeping having coaching sessions like forever, they can, because the game changes so much in the abilities that you have between decks and all that. But yeah, I focus a lot on, for example, if I do something wrong, I don't say like, okay, you should have done this. You should have done this because of that happened because of this card. You should have read that this card was in hand because he didn't play that last turn and all that, and explain the whole process to get into that conclusion. So with that explanation, probably, hopefully, the student learns how to think. And I usually I tell a lot about how to think, how to came to that conclusion. And that's so the player can do that by yourself, because I usually do 1 hour sessions, and how many replays I can do in 1 hour, like depends on how long they are, but like 5, 6, 7 maybe. And how many games you need, how many matches you need to play to improve it. This is not enough. So you need to play way more matches than the ones that I watched with you. So you need to do what I'm doing with you alone, by yourself. So in order to do that, you need to learn how to think. So that's why I focus a lot on this how to think process, and it's more time consuming, it's more difficult. You would be careful, okay, you should Valor this card, you should Ash this card, and this doesn't exist, by the way. This depends on context. So, but sometimes people came with the I mean, people who knows me knows that I'm not like that, but like some lost people think that, okay, when do I Ash against Triton? There's absolutely no answer. It's impossible to answer this question. So yeah, this is the how to think is more important than the plays. Because you can bring that to other formats from the future, maybe, right?
If you just say
fundamental skills.
If you just say Ash Alpha, they're okay, sure.
Yeah.
And then now, they use 2 names. It's not Alpha. What do I do now? It's not streamlined. Yeah, no, I really like it. I think it's very interesting. We're reaching about an hour. I'm surprised we talked for that long.
Just to sort of bring it back to base, and we were talking about coaching. We went quite into a lot of detail. Just the sort of when we're talking about growth of the game again, and just like coaching and content creation in general, where do you guys sort of see it moving forward? Like how popular coaching will become, or what sort of coaching will become more prevalent? What are your guys' thoughts?
I think it will become more popular, and hopefully it becomes a way for people to properly somehow live out of Yu-Gi-Oh! I know Paulo does, but it's a store, it's a different scenario. But and like more like people are like Hearthstone content creators. Their life is Hearthstone. They live off doing things for Hearthstone. I think if at some point we could reach Yu-Gi-Oh! Not as a career, but it's an option. It's like something with more rentable income, and coaching is a step for it. Cash tournaments are a step for it, and esports and sponsorships are a step to it. I think we're all walking that direction. So yeah, hopefully we get closer to that in the future.
If you look at where like Nadir is right now, like I mean, I know he's on a summer form, but like he's got what, like 2,000 concurrent viewers at the moment. Like that's insane. Like for like someone that's came from a Yu-Gi-Oh background, like as a Yu-Gi-Oh like player, content creator, like seeing someone at that point, like, and where is he going to go next? Where, like, is there going to be another one like him that like gets up to those levels? Who knows?
No, but if you ask like 2 years ago, that would be impossible. Like a Yu-Gi-Oh streamer getting 2K views, it's like out of the world. And like 2K is like nothing. I've seen Nadir doing like 6, 7K.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It shows if there's 7K people that would watch him, that means it would be the other 7K people that would watch someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And even the other streamers, like I've seen like a bunch of people like around 1K. The viewership numbers have increased so much. and they can only get higher now. So it's exciting times for Yu-Gi-Oh, even when the format is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, about getting, like, I work off Yu-Gi-Oh! This is what I do, but like I can't do that one thing only. I do coaches, I have my store, I do YouTube, I do Twitch, and tournaments randomly. So I have a lot of ways to income through Yu-Gi-Oh! I think with the growth of the game and the master duel and all that, maybe people can specialize in something, can do only tournaments if you have enough tournaments. I think that's unlikely, but I mean, let's hope. Only tournament. That would be my dream. My dream, if I need to choose something, I only want to play. That's it. If I want to choose. But I do like the game enough for me to do other things. And so I can keep still in the game and work of this. But you can always do the content creator part. You can do coaching things. You can do sport, the esport part. So I think with the Martial Duel, that will happen. I don't know in which extent or how big this is going to be. But for example, Farfar numbers are really impressive. I really like Farfar. I know his content is not for everyone, but what he did for Yu-Gi-Oh community, at least numbers, it's amazing. You can't deny it's a case, a success case. It still is, right? So when Master Duel came, I don't even know how many people will watch him, like 10K maybe. I don't know.
I could see it happening. He gets 7K to watch a YouTube video every Monday.
It's not popular. The people like this. So and this is another thing. The whole Yu-Gi-Oh! Twitch community. This didn't exist like 2 years ago. This wasn't a thing. Like people want to see Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. They didn't enter Twitch before. They entered YouTube before. Now it's like 2-3 years ago. Maybe it started to going to Twitch, which is an interesting development of what's going, and this is better because for the content creators, I think Twitch is better than YouTube. Much better it is for me. It's because people can directly pay you through donates and subs and all that, which in YouTube there is ways, but like the community in Twitch is different. Like people are willing to do that to support, and the same doesn't happen in YouTube. I don't know why. It's not the same. I don't know the explanation to that, but it's definitely not the same. So that's good for the content creation. More people are willing to do that because this is happening, right? So I think with the development of Master Duel and all that's happening, I think this is going in the right direction.
Right. Any final thoughts? Any final comments?
Go on, Alex.
No, you're good.
Lovely final comments. I think it's just good that like for a lot of the times when we're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, we have like a negative light. We're always sad and depressed about this game. So it's good to talk about a topic that actually ends up in a good note and with like a hopeful future. Because things are actually getting better. Because usually it's like gloom and doom.
There's more to Yu-Gi-Oh than opening Alpha Zeta and just getting full combo.
Alpha Zeta called by talents, that's tradition.
Stop. Anyways, we're going to close it there. Thank you guys for watching and listening. If you are here from the YouTube, be sure to check us out on Spotify, I think. Have we...
Alex, work.
We've had a few issues with that one. We'll get it next time. If you're here from the Spotify, be sure to check us out on YouTube and subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave a like and a comment. And check out our other social medias. Links will be in the description. And of course, check out our sponsors, the Brotherhood Games, Card Market, MetaMat, and our merch and games. Our merch and what else is on there? Just our merch is all on. Merch and mug, yes.
We're off on that.
Links will all be in the description. And that will be it from us today. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Paulo, for coming. See you guys.
Thanks, Paulo.
Thank you again, Paulo.